push and encouragement.
Actually, that segues us into the next thing. So let's say that you're that first person who was doing single first and wanted to transition into multi. What were one of the first things that you did?
Great question. So one of the first things I did to transition was first think about the end. You guys heard the book Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, Dr. Stephen Covey?
Yep.
He said determine the end from the beginning. So I had to realize, well, what is the end for me? How many residential or multifamily units do I need in my portfolio to quit my day job? And so I created what I call the power formula, your passive income exceeds your living expenses by a certain margin. And I realized, okay, based upon the amount of passive income I need to quit my 9 to 5, and if I average $100 to $200 per door, I need a certain number of units. So once I calculated how many units I needed, I also gave myself a time frame, a smart goal, right? And I realized, well, I need about 30 units to quit my day job in 4 years. And so I made a plan, okay, if I divide, let's say 32 divided by 4, I need to do about 8 units per year to quit my 9 to 5. And if I stick with single family, it's I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's harder to close 8 single family homes in a year. It'll be easy if I close 4 plexes a year or 1 8-unit a year. And then I started to break it down. So I took a big audacious goal, determined at the beginning, and started breaking it down to actionable steps. So I can close a deal every 6 months.
Nice.
That's a good question. We kind of just close our eyes and sort of run forward. You got to be smart. It's kind of come back to what I was talking about earlier. You really got to understand the asset and really do your homework again. I think a single family, everything that you really need to know for the most part is at a surface level, if not a layer deep. And that multi-family property that you're looking at, whenever brokers are showing it to you, they're painting that most rosy picture. It's very likely that they case on not a broker pitch or anything like that, but you really do need to start thinking about other variables that don't necessarily the way that the tenant basics are operating, what location are you in, what kind of creditworthiness are you looking for your tenants or lack thereof, what market are you in specifically? We've been as far south as Albany, Georgia, which is a very different market than Atlanta. We've been in Indianapolis, Indiana, an extremely different market than both of those two. So when you go bigger, the rewards are bigger, but the risks are also much bigger. So I'd say, go full steam ahead, because that's how I like to operate. Make sure you're doing your homework.
That seat is taken. If you could get another seat.
I'll answer the question
Perfect, yes,
two
ma'am.
ways. What I did and what you should do. So what I did was real similar, just sort of run on out into multifamily headlines, which I think works, and I think everyone should do to some degree. At the same time, I spent about a year and a half studying when I transitioned from single family to multifamily. So get an education is my answer. Try and find some gurus or some people that teach that you like and that have good, honest information, and don't be afraid to spend a little bit of money on an education. You're gonna get what you pay for. But at the same time, vet that person that you're talking to. Really get some online resume, get some feedback, go rip off reports. There's a lot of teachers out there right now that are not exactly credible teachers, and they're charging a lot of money, so be careful of that. It's kind of the way the education market cycles. But you get an education. I'm a teacher. I've been teaching real estate for about 10 years, and I've had hundreds of students. So the ones that study and the ones that treat themselves like a business are typically the ones that make it. The ones that, like these guys, that set up systems and they start learning, but also treating themselves in deal flow and markets like a business. Those are the students of mine that became successful. So that's what I would suggest.
Before I answer this question, by show of hands, how many are in the room that's currently invested in single family and looking to transition into multi? Now I can answer the question properly. Well, like they said, one of the most important things is education, understanding the difference between a commercial asset and a residential single family condo or a multi-unit. Many times we get calls, person say, hey, I have a multi-family I want you to look at, and when they start describing it,
4 units.
Well, that's a multi-unit, so totally different concept. So a multi-family is 5 plus units. One of the biggest differences is that when you're qualifying for a commercial transaction, we don't look at you. I don't care about your W-9, your W-2 at all. I don't care about if you make $1 million a week on your job. What we're focusing on, can this asset pay for itself? Can the cash flow?
It's about the
I
asset.
don't look at the DTI, I look at the debt service coverage ratio.
DSCR.
Can this property pay for itself? So you say, well, I made really good money and I have a 700%. That's great. But if this property cannot pay for itself, you do not have a deal. So a couple of things you need to keep in mind when you're contacting myself or any lender pertaining to multifamily transaction. One, what is your strategy? When I look at this property, what am I going to do with it? If this property, what's the vacancy on it? Is it 50% vacant? Is it 60% vacant? When was the last time some CapEx was done? When I say CapEx, I'm talking about in the residential space, we're talking about renovation. So when was the last time property was upgraded? What are they asking for? What is the name of it? What is their absorption rate? Meaning that in this area, is it running at 95% occupancy? Is it running at 100% occupancy? So these things are extremely important for you to be successful in that endeavor. Number two, what am I bringing to the table? What's my experience in this? Did I go to Georgia Rita and take the 50 foot class and now I'm cashing my 401k and buy a property? And I have 200k and try to leverage it up. Normally you want to have experience. Multifamily has many different parts and many different layers that you have to go through. One thing, some people may lease the property up just so they can say they have cash flow. But actually, you do the So now you bought an asset coming in the first 90 days, you have to evict all your tenants. Because now no one wants to pay. So now you don't have any cash flow, you don't have any reserves. So all these things are important. And having something that Bill said earlier, when you're investing in multifamily, it gives you a chance to bring on other investments. Depending on the size of the deal, the scope, and your return on investment on that deal. So you can add, say you have the cash but no experience. But Bill is looking to do a joint venture or something. He doesn't run. So he said, okay, we come here, we can do this deal together. What's going to be my strategy? We hold this property for 3 to 5 years. So this is a 5-year program. So in 5 years, I'm going to refinance this property. I'm going to give Bill his 100K back, plus the 25% return on this investment.
That's a nice return.
I'm going to hold this as a residual, pass it on to like a family tree. The next thing you need to have, you can't do anything in a capitalistic society without the good old green